All right, this is Jesse Clark with Small Business Resources. Thanks for coming today. We've got an awesome little episode here for you today. That I've got Harley Helmer from Rival Mind is with us, and we're going to talk about schema markup, schema code, that what it does and how we can put it into our websites and how it's useful and beneficial to us as web designers and web agencies. So with that said, I'm going to just hand it over to Harley, and he's going to go through what is schema markup, how you create schema markup, and then we're going to talk about Duda's built-in local schema. So if you're on the Duda platform, this will be great for you. Where can you add additional schema into your website, and what different types of schema there are, and then how can you use Google's tools to check the validity of your code to see if it's integrated into your website properly. So with that said, go ahead, Harley. Thanks for coming onto my show today.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Jesse. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, like you said, Harley Helmer. So I work for a digital marketing agency. We're based just outside of Chicago, Rival Mind. So we do, full service website design, SEO, Google Ads, all the things you would expect a digital agency to do if you want to grow your business. And we specialize in search engine optimization and website design. And so I thought it would be fun to, just share some of the things that we do for our clients, specifically with schema markup and structured data for websites, because Google and the other major search engines really value this particular information. And with today's tools, it's fairly easy to implement. And even as Jesse said, with the Duda platform, if you're on that, there's even some automated built-in schema markup that Duda is integrating, which makes it really easy for people with not a ton of time to sit there and write this stuff by hand, can go ahead and implement. So, kind of just to dive right in, what is schema markup and different options? So schema markup is a type of structured data. It was actually developed by, the language was developed by Google and the other big search engines, Google being Yahoo and Yandex. And basically their mission was, we want to figure out a way to make information on web pages easy to digest for our bots. So the whole concept of SEO is Google's bots crawl your website, gather information. Once they've gathered that information, they determine how good is that information. If it's really good, then it shows up #1 for different searches and phrases and questions that people are searching. If it's bad information or it's not helpful, Google says, and moves on to the next guy. The advantage of structured data and schema markup in particular is what it does is synthesizes the most important parts of each web page to provide specific information that Google is going to find really helpful. And what Google and other search engines then do is they use that structured data and schema markup to power what they call rich snippets. So if you've ever conducted a search for a question on a topic, or if you're looking for services of some kind, and underneath a Google result, there's either a drop down with some more questions, or I'm sure you're probably familiar with the star ratings. If you're looking for a service that show up on the Google results, that's how all of those particular pieces of information are generated. So by taking each website page, determining what type of schema should go on that page, and then writing it and implementing it, it allows Google to hit that page, find the most important information on it really fast, and then use it to actually make your results on Google look prettier and entice more clicks. So it's definitely a piece of an SEO strategy that we use in an effort to not only secure a top ranking, but once you're up there, you gotta entice people to click on that thing. So, if your ranking has results with stars and the other ones don't, yours is more attractive. So it's all about providing information in a way that's going to make it easy for Google to access it. If you cloud your information in mystery, Google's going to pass you by. But if it's really easy, Google's going to grab that information and use it. So that's kind of the gist of what is schema markup and the different options. We don't necessarily have to go into all the technicalities of JSON and HTML and all of that, but realistically, it's just simply code that can be implemented on the backside of your website. So number two, the thing that we're talking about is how do you create this schema markup? So in the world of Duda and some of the other website platforms out there, I know WordPress and Elementor, if you're using Yoast SEO on WordPress or Rank Math, they will automatically write and inject schema markup for you. You just have to set the settings correctly. Duda is doing that as well. And so one of the things that you can do is turn on some of those features. I know Duda blogs, they actually just released this a few months ago. Every time you write a blog article on Duda and publish it, Duda is automatically injecting article schema on those pages so that you don't have to do it yourself. Same thing with local business schema. I know Jesse was going to touch on that as well. Local business schema is automatically being injected onto those critical pages. But there are a bunch of different types of schema. So there are roughly 800, there are over 800 different types of schema available. But the catch here is that Google only supports about 30 of them. So I actually can share my screen. I pulled up a few things that might be helpful. Schema markup was, like I said, written and developed by the major search engines. You can go to schema.org, which is basically where all of this information lives. So they have documentation on how to use it, what different types, extensions that can be used to help you make this stuff, the different types of schemas. So like I was saying, right now there are 803 different types of schema consisting of 1,466 properties. And so every type of schema you institute and implement additional properties to provide information on additional information. And so schema.org is a great place for you to come and learn what all the different types are. But as I was mentioning, Google only supports about 32. So some of them that are really important are going to be organization schema, person schema, place schema, so local business, product, offer, aggregate ratings, reviews. They actually even just launched schema markup for vacation rentals, and that was just this week. So being able to provide, when is your vacation rental coming up for available? What price is it? Where is it located? How many rooms does it have? All of those things can be implemented inside schema markup. So this is a really, really useful tool to come and just learn about schema markup. They've got, lots of information on how it's developed, who it's developed by, who's contributed all of this stuff. So it's really, really neat. So how do you actually create this? The most simple way that you can create this is by going to a schema generator tool. So there's a couple in the industry. One is made by Rank Ranger. The other one is made by Merkle on a website called technicalseo.com. And so literally what these tools do is allow you to select from the most popular different schema markups and then simply dump your information in. So the fastest and easiest one that we could explain here would be breadcrumb schema. So if you've ever been on a website, you're on the RivalMind website right now, if you've ever seen this list of links like this, so home, our services, search engine optimization, local SEO, these are breadcrumbs, and you can click on these breadcrumbs to get to different pages. But what they also do is they show a hierarchy of information. So the home page holds our services. Our services holds SEO because SEO is one of our services. And then a special type of SEO is local SEO, hidden underneath search engine optimization. So these breadcrumbs, what we can actually do is communicate to Google through schema markup that our breadcrumbs are displaying a hierarchy for Google to understand. So you can see on the right, they've kind of got this blank code base sitting here. And then as I fill this out, my schema markup will automatically appear as I horribly mistype this thing because my keyboard doesn't want to type. Let's see here. So home if I go ahead and I can even just make it easy, I can right click and copy the link address. So home, and I've got our services, copy the link address. And then I can add more URLs depending on where I'm trying to get. So I'm trying to get copy link address. This one is SEO services or search engine optimization services. You want to name it what the title of your page is for best practices, and then all the way down to local SEO services. So if I was going to add breadcrumb schema on the local SEO page, I would be adding all of this schema markup here. And so then it's really, really simple. You literally just copy and paste this code. They even have a nifty little copy button here. And now it's copied to your clipboard. And then there's two ways that you can go about this. So the best part about this is the schema is going to be formatted correctly because this tool has already built it. Now, if you want to try your hand at writing this code yourself, you're definitely going to want to use what's called the schema validator. And the schema validator is going to allow you to see if you've misformatted any of your tools. So I pulled what's called the Google Rich Results Test first. And so there's two ways that Google allows you to go about this, which is really nice. You can either implement your schema markup and save it to your website and publish the changes. Then you just drop your URL into the tool and hit go, and it will say, hey, we're going to go crawl this page right now, and we're going to tell you if your structured data is correct. The alternative is you can just simply drop your code right into the tool and test the code before you ever put it on your website. And so because Rivaline works with some businesses that are a little bit larger, you know, sometimes we're not able to make changes and test them just willy-nilly. We have to go through, we implement changes, then it goes through a review with developers, and then once it passes muster with the developers, then it can be published. And so this code option gives you the ability to drop your code. So you can see it's tested the code. It's saying, hey, this item was valid. The breadcrumbs are valid here. We're going to open it up. The type is a breadcrumb list. Remember those 803 types? Breadcrumb list is one of them. So list element number one, the home page, it's a thing. It can be found here. And it just kind of gives you, this is what the information that Google is going to be crawling and getting out of this. So now that we have a valid and safe code base, we want to implement it on our website. And so because we added this particular piece of code to the local SEO page, we would want to go to that corresponding page in our Duda website. Now, I'm actually in a test website right now, but what we would want to do is we would want to go to the corresponding page. We'll call it the journal page for now. We'll go to this page and we would want to be able to implement that schema markup. There's a handful of ways you can implement it. In the Duda platform specifically, you can implement it by going to the settings and then going to the page URL area. And then there's actually a section down at the bottom for your head HTML, and you can paste it right here, which is nice because it's going to add it just to this one page right in the header. We typically don't add code to the head like this because it can slow down your website. So instead, where we typically like to add our content, our schema markup specifically, is right on the body. So I will typically actually add a new row or section in my Duda website, and depending on what particular CMS you're using, you know, there's likely an ability for you to add a row or add a section or add a block in WordPress, if you're familiar with that, to be able to drop this content in. So once I have my new section, I'm going to add a widget, and the widget's going to just be like a raw HTML widget, which I'm sure pretty much everybody who's used to building a website is familiar with if they're adding maybe a tracking code. And so what's nice about this is all I have to do is drop in my code here and hit update. And the beauty of the Duda platform is now that I have my code in here, this row actually disappears and we're all set. So now I republish this page, I publish this site, And at this point, I could run it through the rich results test on the URL side. But I already know that my code is ready to go. And so now when Google hits my local SEO page, it's going to be able to see, hey, they have breadcrumbs listed on this website. Here are the 4 pages. Here are the URLs. I can now understand the hierarchy. So adding this stuff to the website is pretty darn easy.
Harley, can I, real quick, those 2 tools, the Merkle and the Google search test, those are free to use, correct?
Yes,
okay.
Totally free. Yeah, so the Merkle tool is free to use, the Rank Ranger tool is free to use, and the Google tool is free to use. And then schema.org actually has its own validator as well. I, for one, prefer to use the Google tool because Schema's not doing anything. And so whether Schema says it's right or wrong doesn't matter. What matters is if Google hits the page and says the problem, then you have a problem on your hands. So I like to use those.
And as far as the local business schema that Duda integrates for you, let's say that is a specific location or place schema that they're using, correct?
Yes. So when you add in your business name, your address, your phone numbers, your hours of operation, it'll even let you add in like links to your social media platforms and things like that. It then will add in and inject that schema for you once you turn it on. But you really want to make sure that you fill that out completely and to the best of your ability. One of the things that Google does say is that if the schema is misconfigured or it's incomplete to a certain extent, it will not qualify for rich results. So if you don't fill it out all the way, you may not receive the benefits from having that schema on your website.
Okay, so that local schema code, is that in the header HTML area? So that's going to satisfy the entire site?
So that's a good question. I believe they're putting that local business schema on every page. I don't know if they're putting it in the header or in the footer, or if they're just using some other programming to get it on every page. But once you implement it, you're good to go there. The only other thing that I would say about schema markup is that once you've determined a type of schema, it is page specific. So unless you're going to use something like the local business schema, there are schemas that you don't want to use on a particular page. So you just have to be aware that not every single schema belongs on every single page. For instance, let's say you're an e-commerce store and you want to put product schema on your website. That product schema is going to have information about a single product. It's going to have information about the pricing of that product. It's going to have links to the images of that product. And you wouldn't want that schema about that one product, say, on your about page, because that's not relevant to the about page.
Makes sense.
The only thing that you have to be cautious of is if you're adding this information, just take a beat and think, does this schema markup make sense with the context of the page that I want to put it on? If yes, great. If not, make sure that you're only placing the right schema in a place where it makes sense.
And in the body of that page.
Yep. Yeah. You can put it in the body for sure.
Excellent. Like I said, look down in the description. You'll get the link to their website, and Harley is on the Facebook groups for Duda Pros, and so you can find him there. And he's been very helpful to me with my small agency, and so this has been awesome. Again, Harley, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Love to share my knowledge and help people do what they need to do to make their businesses grow.
Right on. Okay. See you next time.